Family Guy is probably one of the most beloved cartoon shows ever created, but did you know that it has some animation errors like these ones? Well, we hope you like them because we found some other errors that we wanted to show you. Are you ready?
The statue was originally a gift from France.
Boys, we're gonna drink till she's hot.
Hey, that's just crazy enough to work.
Have you ever seen Family Guy's first ever episode? Well, this episode was the starting point for one of the most iconic cartoon shows ever created, and what a plot it had. After losing his usual job, Peter searches for a new way of earning money, and he gets directly involved in a welfare fraud. But now that you know a little about the episode's plot, let's watch this scene. Peter and his friends are enjoying a great night at home, drinking some beers and watching some TV. But did you notice anything strange about the TV? Well, if you take a good look at it, you might see that it is turned on, but it has no cord connected to it. These errors are very common in any show's first season.
I don't think I can go through with it.
Peter, listen, without death, the world would be a terrible place. Imagine a world where Hitler was still alive.
Today on Hitler, we'll be talking with Hollywood hunk Christian Slater. Now, they tell me in your next movie, we get to see your butt. If you're going to be in the Los Angeles area and would like tickets to Hitler, call 213. Du wirst deine Krankenschwester brauchen!
Look, Peter, all you gotta do is sit there. The plane is gonna crash in LA. Pilot error, big mess, everybody dies.
We know that Peter has a cool friendship with Death. This episode gave us the first glimpses of Death and Peter's relationship, and it created some very cool interactions between both of them. Let's look at this scene. While Death is giving some advice about how to complete his mission and do Death's bidding, we can see that he has a red napkin right next to him. Well, a couple moments after giving us a brief look at how the world would be if Hitler was still alive, that same napkin has changed its color to a more brownish tone. What a cool detail.
Look, we gotta get the attention of that plane. You gotta help us!
Peter and his friends decided to swap wives? After experiencing some relationship problems, Peter and Lois decide to fix their issues and go to a marriage counseling program in the Bahamas. What they didn't know is that they were about to start a full-on swinger adventure. But let's check this hilarious scene. While Peter is doing Peter things, he decided to shoot a Bengal at the airplane that was about to rescue them. After the plane starts to fall, we see that everyone takes cover to avoid a bigger accident, and it's at that same moment where Cleveland's mustache disappears.
Smitty's Steakhouse. You know, this was the fanciest restaurant in Quahog when I was a kid.
Now look, you can put your business card in this bowl and maybe win a free lunch.
Who would have thought that Quagmire was in love with Lois all this time? After hiding it from everyone, Quagmire spends this episode confessing his deep love for Lois, which leads into a fight between him and our favorite protagonist. But let's check this moment from the start of the episode. This episode starts with the Griffin family having a cool dinner outside in a very elegant restaurant. When the family is having dinner, Brian is seen to have shoes while eating. But when we see that they're leaving the venue, Brian is barefoot. He forgot where his shoes were.
So I'm thinking about getting my ears pierced. You know, big black gauges. Then I can just work at a bike shop forever. Take the pressure off.
That's a terrible idea. Hey, Shelby.
Brian?
It's coming!
Oh my God! Yes, I'd like to make a return, please.
It was time for the reporter, Tom, to take a small break from work. Tom Tucker might be one of Family Guy Universe's most influential reporters, but in this episode, his career got killed and he was replaced by a younger, cooler reporter. This got him and Peter really close, and they became best friends. Brian and Stewie went to buy some cool jewelry and spent a great afternoon in the mall. If you saw Jason's jewelry sign, you can see that it has a phrase that says, "Every B needs a J." But when both of them run before the store gets closed, that same sign is nowhere to be seen. It has disappeared.
Point Griffin. Let's see you talk. Now you're gonna listen? Now you're gonna listen, you little bitch! Whose suit are you wearing? Your suit! Whose suit? Your suit! It's your suit!
So now Peter works as a mall Santa? We're accustomed to seeing Peter constantly switching jobs, but how about him being a great Santa substitute? Obviously, Peter is not the nicest person around, and he came very, very close to ruining Christmas, and he used his power as Santa's representative to get free things. This made Santa really, really angry, and he even fought Peter. Let's watch it. After Santa gains the upper hand over Peter in their personal fight, we see that he starts to strangle our protagonist with his belt. But you should look at his waist for a minute, because he still has his belt on. How could he strangle Peter with his belt if he has that same belt on his waist?
I need to see you right now.
Captain, Lieutenant.
You had no business participating in that raid at 5th and Maple.
Wait, there's a new cop in town. After having some troubles in his job, Peter decides to help Joe in his war against crime so he can help to clean Quahog streets from thugs. Of course, Peter, being as violent as he is, caused more trouble than what he helped with. So let's check out this scene. After seeing all the mess that Peter has made, Joe's boss calls him to the office to see what's happened. If you look at the boss's table when Joe enters, the table is completely empty, but right when the boss appears, we can see that Lieutenant Nibbles was standing on the table all this time. This is a curious detail to find because our small cop appears and disappears many times throughout the scene.
Chewing the crap out of my foot.
I know, it's the best! But while I was here, I also had to get a prescription filled. Listen, I gotta go. You want to continue this sometime? Let me give you my number. It's on the back of here. It's this.
Got it.
Brian has found a new doggy girlfriend. After not having any luck with his human-dog relationships, Brian decides to try a new thing and starts dating another female dog. Luckily, things went better with her than with other women. Let's watch this scene. When both Brian and Ellie start arguing and barking at each other, we see that Brian gets tired of the situation and proceeds to leave the room. Well, when he's leaving, we can see that a frame from the previous scene appears right behind him. Somebody forgot to make a proper edit out of this scene.
Hey, Peter, what's with the hat?
I'm pretending to be a veteran.
What?
Yeah, it's awesome. Vets get all the sweet deals. I mean, you never see a homeless vet. And people have been really nice. Everywhere I go, they open doors for me.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
A new Coast Guard team is in town. After Peter buys some naval hat for himself in a mall, he decides that it's time for him and his friends to become naval guards. This leads to many chaotic actions at sea, and as a way to pay their debts, the whole of Peter's crew is forced to join the Navy. But look at what happened at the beginning of the episode. When Peter first enters the mall, we see that when he's approaching it, there's only one guy standing outside the mall's door. This changes some seconds after because when Peter is entering the mall, a woman appears out of nowhere to open the door. We didn't see anybody next to the mall the previous moments.
Peter, everything okay? You hardly spoke the whole car ride.
Okay, everyone, please put your bananas and donuts back on the table. We're done with that exercise.
Brian and Stewie switched bodies? This episode had every single member of the Griffin family switching bodies with each other, so imagine the quantity of chaos that happened in this episode. This switcheroo of an episode had many things changing, but let's look at this detail of the Weekapog Inn. When the inn is first shown, it has a sign that says, "Congratulations, you are a fast reader," but some scenes after, the lower part of the sign completely disappears.
Mr. and Mrs. G, thanks so much for having us over for dinner.
Oh, it's our pleasure. Chris has said so many nice things about you. Chris, I'm so happy you have so many wonderful new friends. He was very unpopular in high school.
Oh, yeah, he's strong, too. He takes care of a lot of stuff for us.
Stuff?
Yeah, he took care of one of our competitors.
Tell us a better duo than Stewie and Meg. After a strange turn of events, Meg and Stewie become the best of brothers and friends, so much that she invited Stewie to one of her friends' birthdays. But even if this friendship is weird enough, it is not weirder than this moment. It seems like the Griffin family had a great dinner with his Italian friends, but what's strange about this? Well, if you looked at Rocco's chain at the start of the scene, it was a silver chain, but when we see it at the end of the scene, the chain has become golden.
Making Neil Armstrong the first man to walk on the moon.
So now Peter is Donald Trump's personal bodyguard? But forget about Trump, because we have a case of Peter versus Ernie the giant chicken. Ernie and Peter have fought many tough fights throughout the series' history, but let's take a look at this scene. When Ernie is presented looking at the airplane, we can see that his nostril is orange instead of the usual red that we always see him with. The curious thing is that when Ernie appears a couple of scenes later, his nostril is back to its usual red.
I think I went too big with the boots.
Old love.
Well, I didn't pay for my beer, but I left a hell of a tip.
Look out, Peter, you might ruin your father and mother-in-law's relationship. After the Griffin family has to move to Lois's parents' house, Peter starts to open a rift between both of Lois's parents with his chaotic attitude. This newly found relationship between Peter, Carter, and Babs gifted us with so many cool moments. So let's take a look at some of them. If you took a good look at the bar's background, you can notice that it drastically changed from one scene to another. For example, there's an illuminated post right outside the bar when we're presented to it, and in the last part of the episode, that same post is nowhere to be seen. This is the first of many changes that we found.
Well, time to wash dishes while looking at a lawn like most housewives. What in the world? I better warily approach that pot and...
Have you seen this compilation of awesome love stories? In this episode of Family Guy, the show's directors decided to adapt some classic love stories and give them their own small and crazy take. This includes the history of Helen of Troy, Romeo and Juliet, and Fatal Attraction. In this homage to Fatal Attraction, we can see that Lois is enjoying a bath while dealing with her multiple personality disorder. But do you know what also happens here? Well, if you look at the bathtub faucet, you can see that, depending on the part of the scene that we're seeing, the faucet changes its shape and form. Too many changes here.
I can't go. Can't we just fill this up with a hose?
Oh, yeah. Turn on the hose.
Mayor West? Angela? My dad? Quagmire's fat girlfriend who died in the Clue episode?
Poor Peter, we nearly lost him. After falling into a deep coma, we join Peter in an adventure throughout his mind and dreams while he's fighting for his life. This trip presented us with many strange things, such as interactions with dead characters, Peter's strange vision of his life, and many of his thoughts. Let's look at this scene for a minute. While Peter is looking at the boat that's sailing the Panama Canal, we can see that something strange is happening on the boat. Well, when we get an overview of the top of the boat, you can see that some of the people that are sailing are duplicated. Such a cool detail. Well, there you have it, Family Guy fans. There are some animation errors that you can find in your favorite show. If you liked the video, please subscribe to our channel so we can show you even funnier content. Until the next time, goodbye.